Welcome everybody to the Synapse Philosophy Group. We are jamming with 1910 D.D. Palmer's Chiropractors Adjuster. We're on page 83, halfway down, and I want to just show my awesome shirt. These are my first shirts I ever made in my office, and it said, "People need the light." Can anybody see that? They need the light in order to protect themselves from the germo antitoxi vaxi radii electro something death producers. D.D. Palmer. That was in the 1906 book, one of my favorites. And I said just below that, chiropractic brings people to the light. And it's just such a beautiful quote from D.D. Palmer, and I love that in 1906. That's how I wanted to start reading that one again. Okay, Alan's going to be our magical reader today. He's doing great, and I appreciate you. You guys ready to rock and roll?
Yes.
Let's go.
All right, so we're on page 83 of the Chiropractors Adjuster. You have taken my reply just right. And we should probably say he's responding to a letter from Carver, if I remember correctly. And so when he's responding to that letter and saying, "You have taken my reply just right. When I attempt to explain the cause of disease, I use bones to illustrate material joints, which by their displacement impinge on nerves, causing functions to be deranged, the results being abnormal function and morbid tissue, conditions which we name disease. When I go into the spiritual realm, which cannot be demonstrated by material, I talk of spirits. Chiropractic links the spiritual with the material. Never mind writing me on religion. Go on with your suggestion, which is what Carver suggested it should be incorporated into chiropractic."
Let's pause right there. And that's concept therapy now, right?
Yes.
So, I'm not picking on things, but, this is where he lays the law. But the last little bit there gives us some deep insights.
Chiropractic right? Links the spiritual with the material. That's pretty much says it, right?
That says it right there. When this last part, when I go into the spiritual realm, which cannot be demonstrated by material, I talk of spirits. So he's talking about meditation, clarity, and, talking of spirits and that spiritual vibration. Chiropractic links the spiritual with the material. I mean, that is just absolutely, I've had even people tell me he never said that anywhere. And it's right here on page 83 that I've marked, 14 years ago. Anybody else have any comments on that? Let's hear some discussion. I hear sawing wood. Is everybody asleep?
I think it's interesting when he starts off, he says, "When I attempt to explain the cause of disease," like it's almost impossible to put it into words, but utilizing the material things like the joints being displaced is the best way to even explain it, right?
Yeah, good insight. I didn't even think of that. Fantastic. Thank you. I use the bones to illustrate material joints. That's giving us the earthly. Okay, we have Ryan's joining us. Awesome. All right, welcome, Ryan. Thank you. I'm glad you're joining us. We're on page 83 of the Chiropractors Adjuster. I don't know if you can hear me yet, but we're on page 83, halfway down. This paragraph right here, to me, really sets the tone for chiropractic itself. That what we're doing, what did he say? Never mind writing to me on religion. Go on with your suggestions. I mean, he's not talking about religion. He's talking something about bigger than that. We're talking about a spiritual consciousness and bigger than religion, bigger than suggestions. And Logan and I were talking about today, when we're talking about suggesting things to people, that comes from one's educated. I think this is right for you. You don't know what's right for any person. That innate, that spirit within them knows far more than anyone outside of them. And I think that's a powerful, powerful thing that we have to respect. Truly, male, female, anyone, that energy is the animator of the world, of
Well,
living.
you have to be careful about saying no suggestion. It depends on how you phrase something. You want to give them a bigger image than what they may have already themselves and say, you know, I've seen a lot of people in this office with similar issues improve, which allows them to say, I can get better too.
I
It's
follow
not
you.
saying I
Yeah.
can do it for you or that you're going to get better, but it's saying I've seen a lot of people with similar problems improve we've helped them. And I know, and I believe that you're going to see the same kind of changes.
Now, is that a suggestion or telling them the truth?
And yes, and yes.
Okay. But if I say, you know, your back pain is because of your mother was yelling at you when you were 2, and I know I'm right, and I'm gonna give you that suggestion so you can integrate it, or whatever it is, you know, is that to me, of course, it's not chiropractic, but you know, is that coming from somebody who's educated?
But that's what I'm saying. If you're saying that some suggestions come from our educated brain to theirs, and I'm saying that if we just say we're trying to give them a vision of something bigger than they may have created for themselves, that they can
Right.
get better.
Yeah,
You know, that
I
they
follow you
can.
on that.
We've seen this happen with other people in this office, and I have no reason to believe that it shouldn't be able to happen for you as well.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know, why don't you come in here thinking I'm sick and I'm hurting and you're so focused on that, but I'm saying I've seen people like you get better.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I can get better too. Is what I'm
Absolutely.
trying to help them get to.
And that's a positive statement, and I'm all for that 100%. Forgive me, and you know, saying all suggestion was incorrect, and you know, and I follow you on that suggestion. To me, that would be just enlightening them in the truth. You know, you're going to heal. Your body has the ability to heal. There's nothing that's in your way. If one, and you know, Sigafus used to say this: if one person can get better, everybody can get better. And I was like, yeah, that's true, really. You know, if one person can do it, why can't everyone? If we have a remission from cancer, if one can heal, we can all heal. So, you know, I think that I'm actually marking this area again to come back there of how important 83 is, and really of setting the tone. He's saying it really is a powerful statement. We're dealing with the spiritual realm. As we walk up to these people, we're walking to in altar, and we're respect that. Like in 1914, really, he's saying, you know, this is bigger than religion. It's bigger than any dogma. And, you know, we're caring for the spirit within. And, you know, God is bigger than that. Universal is bigger than that. And to respect it as so. And I think that's absolutely wonderful. Well, should we go on? Anybody else want any clarity or have any input? And we'll move forward.
All right, so the next line is from Carver, and it's in quotes. It says, having thus in a short preface swept aside intervening obstacles, let us at once get to the meat of the coconut of the whole matter. And then Didi responds, that's right, getting down to something real, which that which we can see, feel, chew, eat, and digest, the meat of the coconut. And Carver says, and then from Carver, a perfect system for the reduction of disease will not discard any agent that means which never does harm but always good, and has been known by itself or themselves to entirely remove disease. To which Didi responds, reduction in surgery is the replacement of a dislocated bone, hernia, or other displaced parts to their normal position. Disease has no normal position. You cannot reduce disease. Such sophistry is used by the champions of every mode of healing. Should we therefore adopt every agent used to correct abnormalities? A perfect system does not need to be encumbered with adjuncts. If it is a fact that disease is the result of malposition, why not correct the position of the displaced portion?
As simple as that. Adjust the bone.
Move the bone.
Move the bone.
Yeah, but Carver old things are new again. Carver is of that same opinion. Is it's too simple. It has to be more than that. Let's add as much as we can. And we know that we're on the razor's edge, the piercing point of healthcare because of what we do, and we focus on one thing. Carver shows that this argument between straights and mixers is not new. It's always been there.
Always.
It's always been, we got to do everything. We've got to be the god in white coats, and replace the other gods in white coats. And that's what's destroying our profession.
I think a lot of people in Carver may be in that category himself, but especially today, it's a matter of they're afraid of their practice members, and people come in and say, I want to feel better, and they just want them to feel better. And, and feeling better is not being healthy.
Yeah.
And that's what aspirin does. That's what drugs do, but that doesn't solve the issue that got you to where you are, and a healthy lifestyle may be a part of it, but subluxations and interference of communication in the body is the key that we can work with. And I don't have a problem with people making health suggestions to people and saying, you need a healthier lifestyle. I don't know about prescribing vitamins and herbs and oils and whatnot. I personally didn't, but some people feel like that fits, but I think that that's also adjunctive therapy. I mean, if you have too much vitamin A is toxic, then and you adjust somebody and they can accept the right amount just from their food, and you're giving them a supplement, is it going to become toxic?
Alan,
how's that work?
Yep. Dwayne, did you have something to say? You unmuted.
Yeah, I'm blessed that across the street through my front windows is a liquor store. People say, I just want to feel better. I'm like, right over there's your answer. Get some whiskey or vodka or whatever your drink of choice is, and that'll solve your pain issue. If you're interested in solving a problem, that's what we do here. And
I like that.
I say that in jest, knowing that they're going to understand, okay, it's bigger than just getting rid of the pain. And it's just a way of getting them to see, I'm here for a reason. It's not just getting rid of the pain.
And that's where we're the educators, and we're teaching small children, no matter how old they are. And it's a little bit at a time. You can't shove it down their throat, little drips at a time. You do too much, you almost scare them away. And you do it little bits at a time and giving them confidence in themselves they've not been given. And like Alan was saying before, they're teaching people with advertising to tell the doctors what they want. And there's no doctoring in that. That's just prescription writing. And, people come in and tell me all the time they have some virus, not whatever this is now, whatever, and that they got a prescription for antibiotics. And I said, that doesn't make any sense. Your doctor just shut you up and gave you something to get out the door. So you felt like he did something. I think that's uncool. Chiropractors doing the same thing. When you have somebody clear on the table, you allow them to be clear, and you don't need to do anything. You say you're clear. Thank God you're clear. You're holding your adjustment. And, instead of having, I got to do something. And, I love it when people are holding adjustments. So, this is really hitting home. Does anybody else have any input?
It's interesting that I think that it's an interesting issue that not amazingly to the people that are on this call, that a lot of symptoms go away when people get adjusted.
Yeah. The
vast majority of things disappear relatively quickly when people get adjusted. Not everything, but most of them. And I don't begrudge chiropractors that adjust for pain and help people feel better. But the problem is that they don't understand, and they're not helping people understand that there's a greater level of health and well-being that's available to them if they were under regular chiropractic care. And
once people are on consistent care, you think about, I can't imagine what it's like not to be adjusted.
Yeah.
You know, I did have one person tell me years and years and years ago, she goes, I just broke my chiropractic addiction. I
Yeah.
just broke it. I'm not going back to a chiropractor. I just broke my addiction. And I said, what does that mean? She goes, oh, I just felt terrible for like weeks. And, you know, whatever. And now I'm done. And I said, you adapted to feeling bad? She goes, yeah. I'm like, all right, you have your way. I don't need to live in that world of convince. You live that way. So we're not always dealing with logic every day, but we can live in bliss. And I don't have to convince everybody. You know, you find out for yourself. I've become less shove it down your throat to just, like Pasquale used to say, he said, chiropractic makes life a little sweeter. And you know what? That's right. Making it easy. You're going to be better. Your body's healing. Trust your innate. You know, all these beautiful things. Thank you, guys. Okay, should we move on a little? We do have a few pages to go here.
We have, yeah, several. All right, so I think this next piece is from Carver again then. The world has struggled in darkness, pain, and misery for ages because of the predisposition of those who have been able to take a step in advance of their fellows to arrogate to their discovery all virtues English is a little weird here, and to see in it alone the solution of every difficulty. I say this is not a fault-finding vein, but simply referring to a very regrettable human weakness known to all in a greater or lesser degree. I would not raise my voice to detract from the glory of Cairo in any event, and certainly not to suggest an aid for it if I were not absolutely certain that it is inadequate to cover the field of cure used in the sense of destruction of disease. It shocks my natural prejudice even then, to which Didi replies, which I certainly have.
This is an important statement from Didi right here too.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So Didi replies to that. Where would this science be today? How much would it have been developed? Of how many disease conditions would I have located the cause if, when I did not succeed in removing the cause by the first effort, I had resorted in some one of the many therapeutic remedies which do no harm to treat the effects known as disease? I would have made but one step forward, and that would have been retraced backward to some one of the many systems which treat disease instead of adjusting causes. Quote, the world has struggled in darkness, pain, misery for ages because, that's a quote from Carver above, every method treated, then Didi goes on, every method treated the effects instead of adjusting the cause thereof. Yes, I have taken a step in advance. Why not get in step with the developer and continue to go forward? Why detract my attention from my scientific investigation by introducing antiquated remedies? By my unceasing efforts discovering and developing, this science does not stand in need of any aid from methods which treat disease. When you use other methods as an aid to chiropractic, whether an assistant or not, you, quote, raise your voice to detract from the glory of Cairo, unquote. He's going back to that quote from Carver. Then he goes on, were you familiar with the principles of chiropractic, you would not write of reducing and destroying disease, for such an idea is allopathic. Chiropractors do not reduce or destroy. Instead, they repair, make right which is in the cause of wrongdoing. It shocks your natural prejudice to allow me the full honor of discovering and developing the grandest science on earth. That's so strong. It says, you know, for such an idea is allopathic. Chiropractors do not reduce or destroy. Instead, they repair, make right that which is the cause of wrongdoing. Amen.
Amen. You know, we move the bone, the body does the healing. And we step out of the way, everything else is tinkering around with a symptom, or I'm the fixer, I can fix you, you know, and that whole other thing too, if we mix these things, we're just going to dilute this science. And just like you're saying before, what our topic was too is, the education of the chiropractor, and something that seems so simple, we want to complicate. Well, I have to do this, and I got to put you on a stretch-o-matic, and I got to, zap you with this, and we rub some jelly on you and some, ultrasound,
More for your
and
money.
all that healed you. But no, and one adjustment, listen, let your body do the healing, take the time, go walk around the block, and let your body do the work. Takes a lot of confidence. That's a big thing, is building up confidence in the chiropractic student, and to carry that confidence on to being a chiropractor. It takes some moxie to do it, and I get, understand, I get the mixing part of it in a way. People want to help people. They want to do well for them. Same thing with medicine. My whole family are medical professionals, and they want to help people. The consciousness is different, and we think in different ways, and that's okay. Some people will be attracted to that, and some people will realize that we're right.
But we have to help, we have to help the students understand and gain the strength to be able to follow this path. Unfortunately, so many schools, they're not being allowed to see it and follow it.
Well, and that's why we have to go out there, and we're doing innate adjusting. This is a plug, on the 29th of January at Life University. So we can, really is, and like I say, it goes back to the confidence in a way, to be able to walk your walk and talk your talk, or talk your walk, whatever it goes, and really be who you were meant to be. And, once you've experienced it, really, of a proper adjustment, as a student, wow, my life has changed from it. I have the confidence now to say it. When I started in my clinic experience, my father is, he was in internal medicine, and I prayed. I said, God, show me if this is real and really helps people. Show me. And let me tell you, the onslaught of people that came with the most horrendous things that have happened in their lives, from, I hate to say it, brutally gang raped, to another, a WNBA basketball player who was squished between a curb and a taxi in New York City, entire spine crushed, Harrington rods top to bottom as a student, and their lives changed. I was the tail end. I got, I think I was like the second or third generation after the AIDS research, and I was adjusting, the AIDS patients. Some of them on their, 7th and 900th adjustments, where their friends had all passed away, and they were still alive. And the stories that I heard, were just amazing. I got to see it with my own eyes, which gave me the confidence to speak it. And not everybody gets that experience. So in going and teaching and showing and giving the confidence, I think is so important. And this, having all of you guys here with me, helps me. I get so much out of these every night, every Tuesday night. And people listen, you guys might not realize, but people listen around the world. In Europe, this is this is like early in the morning in Europe right now. So people in Europe are listening to these things on YouTube and watching them and Spotify and all that stuff. So it's important for chiropractic, of really giving us this confidence. All right, should we move on a little bit?
Ooh, you just gave me goosebumps.
It's awesome. I feel blessed that you all are here with me, and we're getting out of this, and we're breaking it down, and we have the years of experience around us. Logan, I just saw you unmuted.
Yeah, so I've just reread the quote from Carver before this paragraph, and he's saying that the world has struggled in a lot of misery and pain because there's been a lot of people come before you and make claims saying that we found the cause of all diseases. Essentially, he's saying, it shocks me It shocks me. And then down in the end of where we stopped reading, Dee essentially says, no, you're shocked because I found the science that is the truth.
Yeah.
And like, that has just been giving me goosebumps. I'm like going back, I'm trying to understand what Carver's saying. I'm like, oh my God, he's using all these big words to say like, you're claiming something that has caused darkness and misery for ages. You're claiming this because it's insane to claim something that you can, cure disease.
Yeah.
And it's put us in like this dark loop forever. And like, I'm shocked about it. And Didi's like, no, you're shocked because I actually found the cure, the cause of all disease. Can anyone like confirm that's what I'm understanding?
Well, but Logan, the only qualification I have on what you're saying is that what Carver says is, I'm not raising my voice against the glory of chiropractic. He says he agrees with what Didi is saying, but he says, but it needs other stuff as well. It's not the only thing. And Didi's saying, what we need to do is focus on what we do and leave the rest of that to those other guys. That's the way I see it.
Think about this. Since human existence, people have been looking for poultices and potions to, cure ailments. And I don't discount, medicine men, but to have something as powerful as chiropractic has never existed, or we would really know about it, right? And
Definitely.
To have something as simple in reality, simple to deliver, relatively simple to educate, and to have such a major change on the physiology of the body is tremendous. It really is. Thanks, Logan. That was awesome. I really appreciate that. Should we read a little bit more?
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. Read more.
So I guess we're at the if I were an enemy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's so we're back to Carver's letter where he says, if I were an enemy of Chiro, or even a lukewarm friend, I would just keep still and concede that your very good letter had convinced and silenced me and had allowed the giant to go his way, deprived of prejudice of more than half his strength. But not so, for I am a Chiro enthusiast and never permit an opportunity to pass without taking up the cudgel in his behalf. So he's saying that I support you, DD, as far as you go. Yeah.
He's defending his baby, think about that too. Okay, go ahead.
So then Didi responds, as your book of 486 pages is silent in regard to suggestive therapeutics, I infer that you do not consider that Chiro is deprived of, quote, more than half his strength, unquote, by not accepting suggestion as a daily companion. Therefore, I conclude that you have been convinced, deprived of your prejudice, and have become willing to allow the giant to go his way unaccompanied by suggestive therapeutics. Quote, so back to Carver. Quote, I say Chiro is inadequate to cover the field of cure. I would not make such a statement without a logical reason, and one which to me is entirely satisfactory. Let me see if I can demonstrate its reliability. And Didi says Chiro would have always remained inadequate if its developer had continued to use therapeutic methods, as many have done, instead of using the principles of chiropractic to locate and adjust causes. Should I go on here?
That one.
Carver comes back with, you say chiropractic is purely a mechanical science and consists wholly in the adjustment of the luxations. It has to do simply with keeping all of the articulatory processes of the organism in proper position. In other words, it consists of and finds its ideal condition in a living body in which all the joints are in their normal position. It is based on the rule that if all parts of the machine are in their proper place, it will operate perfectly. Is that not so? To which Didi responds, you are right in all your premises, except that the rules of inanimate machinery propelled by external applied force will not apply to organic bodies, which are functionated, that's a great word, functionated by internal intelligent vital force. If you would approach my fortifications direct without so much circumlocution, much time might be saved.
How many times can you use circumlocution in a day? I love
How
it.
about functionated?
Functionated. So, the battle of keeping it pure. If we would have, of course, there was mixing going on back then. If Dee or BJ would have done that, it would have really all been lost. And I understand therapeutics and people want to get people better. It had to be straight to
They
survive.
want people to feel better.
To feel better, exactly. Not function better. TENS units, people ask me, why don't you use those zapping things or whatever? It depletes your neurotransmitter at the synapse. You can't heal if the synapse can't talk to the rest of the nerve. Period. Tell that to the guy that wants to do it to you. See if he's done that level of research.
Now we do have to give Carver a little bit of credit, because later on BJ writes a book, Conflicts Clarify. Early on, this is 1910, right? So from 1895 to 1910, only 15 years in, Dee is forced to write down in very clear terms what we do and don't do. And
Yes.
so even though Carver's already deviated off the path, we have to give him some credit for forcing Dee to clarify and codify, and also write down for posterity what is and what is not chiropractic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, BJ also, there is a lyceum where he's talking, or whatever it is. It's an audio recording. I have it in my, there's a 500 of, BJ talks, and he's talking about concept therapy and exactly what he's defending Dee's point. And this, I don't know what year it was because it doesn't say it in the recording, but BJ also did talk about it. I haven't fully outlined Conflicts Clarified. So now I've got to actually get into that one, because I think that's a really good one next. Forgive me for that. I like that. Good. Thanks for the inspiration, Dwayne. All right. Should we move forward a little bit?
Sure.
Go for it.
All right, so we're back to Carver's part of Carver's letter here. I grant you this would be true if the basic principle were a law of nature, but therein lies the great difficulty. Let us examine this under proper test and see what it is. If it has one exception, then it is not a law of nature. For such, it is self-evident, must be universal in its application. Solely from a mechanical standpoint, I grant that the rule is universal, but whenever we touch the human body, and perhaps any animate being, we are dealing with that which is not mechanical. The law will not universally apply unless it may be said, the mechanical always governs that which is not. Which and then Dee comes back. All laws are of nature, natural. All phenomena are the result of certain law conditions and extrinsic necessity, like causes produce like results. I'm sorry, I read that poorly. Like causes produce like results. There are laws which are general, to which there are exceptions. These exceptions are the result of conditions, laws, just as much as the phenomena are natural. The results corresponding to fixed laws. All laws are self-existent. All phenomena of necessity conform to nature's law. There is no other. Uniformity of coexistence and succession exist as natural phenomena. The same conditions will universally produce the same effect. Phenomena may be abnormal, unusual, but they are the result of certain conditions, laws, just as surely. There are general laws which govern normal function. For example, bodily heat is at 98 to 99 degrees. Certain conditions, laws, may change the temperature of that subnormal or supernormal or subnormal. Phenomena, usual or unusual, general or exceptional, normal or abnormal, are governed by fixed laws. The chiropractor should study these laws and by scientific knowledge, use them to advantage. Right you are in saying that when we consider the human body or an animate being, we're dealing with that which is not mechanical. And yet you state in your analysis that, quote, the human organism is a very complete machine, a machine with all its elemental parts, unquote. The mechanical does not govern the power. Physical force governs the mechanical. The latter is subservient to the former.
Now, he doesn't like when people use analogies of machines about the human, because he's talking it's so much bigger. This is a spiritual being, not a mechanical system. We can't mechanize this, even though they were trying. The Industrial Revolution really is mechanizing humanity as well, birth and death. Awesome. Anybody have any input or insights from that? The chiropractor should study these laws and by scientific knowledge use them to his advantage. The laws of the phenomenon. I mean, the laws of life. It's truly amazing. This, and he keeps, to me, it's really, he's giving us our mission. It's bigger than you realize. It's such an amazing thing that we live in, let alone the people that we serve in front of us. I mean, that's what I see. Anybody else? We did a lot tonight. Go ahead.
There's so much here that the universal laws, we go back to what comes later, what we just finished. The universal laws are there and they're unsolicited. But they control ultimately what goes on. I mean, it's when you look at, it's amazing to see that water goes down the drain in a spiral. The planets spiral are actually in a spiral moving around the sun, and it's a closing spiral because eventually they'll all collapse into the sun. That the sun is moving in a spiral around a big black hole in the middle of the galaxy. And that we can assume that the galaxies are all moving, all the galaxies in the universe are all spinning in a spiral too, because each thing is bigger and bigger, and things run into each other, and they're physical, and they collapse each other. I was watching some program the other night, talks the Andromeda galaxy is eventually going to eat the Milky Way, but in 2 billion years, so you don't have to worry, it's not tomorrow. But it's there's such great forces at work here beyond that the laws are all there that affect all material and all living things. And the fact that we can look at the lungs and the brachiation of lungs and the brachiation of trees and the brachiation of streams and the brachiation of leaves, and they're all the same. That geometry all works is an image of universal that can be interfered with, but is the overall power is the same, and the overall forces outside in of living things adapt those to those forces that come into them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we should be in amazement every day, and and I feel blessed. And this is an amazing text, and I feel the energy is so much stronger from what we're reading. Coming into D.D. Palmer. Let's pause there. Where was that we stopped? The chiropractor should study these laws. That's where we paused, right?
You're saying in concerning human body, but the next would have been the next is a quote from Carver. It starts with this thought in mind.
Okay. Oh yeah, I was a paragraph behind. I apologize. So I'm just marking this for tonight. We had a lot of juice. In reality, I think there's a lot to chew on, and I think we're going to get that wisdom as we digest a little bit more of what Dee said. It's strengthening us. This is the man, he's writing this in it's probably before 1910 that he was writing this. And, giving us our armor to stand up for ourselves and, be who we're meant to be, protect chiropractic. It is precious and the people deserve it, and, I feel honored to serve it. I really do. And to be a part of chiropractic. Anybody else have any closing things? I guess not. So one more time, let's read it. Can you read it from there? It's backwards for me.
It's too small on my screen. I have
Too
to make you
small.
bigger. I have to capture you to make it bigger.
Can you see it?
The people need light in order to protect themselves. I don't see that next word.
From the
From the gamma antitoxin vaccine radioelectro micro slush death producer.
Proby slush.
microbe slush death vaxi radii death producers. And that's from 1906, but that's from D.D. Palmer too. And we have to protect this. This is not brand new of what's happening out in the world right now. They need us more than ever to stand strong of who we are, and to give them the confidence of trusting their innate inside them. It knows what to do, and it never forgot them. So we had a good one tonight. I love and appreciate you guys. Have a beautiful night.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Talk to you
I'll
next
see you guys
week.
next week. Dwayne, I hope to see you again. I miss you, buddy.
Thanks for
I
being here,
miss you
Dwayne.
too,
I
Haig.
like your input. I appreciate it.
I really enjoyed your Chiro Hustle podcast interview a lot.
The which one?
One you just did with the Chiro Hustle podcast with Jim Chester.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, I love those guys. They were wonderful. I appreciate that.
So cool.
All right, guys. Good night. Love and appreciate you.